Hello, my name is Elijah Wells, and today's review is James Cameron's Avatar: The Way of the Water. Set 13 years after the events of the first film, Avatar from 2009, Jake Sully, played by Sam Worthington, is now married to Kaya, played by Natala, played by Zoe Saldana, and both are raising a family until, of course, they get a rude awakening in a forest area of Pandora when, of course, the sky aliens come by, also known as humans, and in order to say they're just going to finish up what they started, but this time they're going to find him. So Jake's like, you know what, we're going to have to go into a self-imposed exile. So they go across the seas to go and meet in this water tribe, which is again completely foreign to them, and they're completely aliens to them, even though the movie consists of aliens to begin with. And they must learn their ways and adapt to their new surroundings, as in it's entirely more water-based, and they must learn how to swim, or, of course, they become useless. But the humans have, like, a plan B, the Colonel, turns out, he had a plan B of, oh, I'm an alien now, so we will continue to find you, and we'll just say it just goes completely crazy from there. The first Avatar movie, particularly the one that came out in 2009, is one of my favourite films growing up as a kid, and I do a lot of repeated showings of this movie, even though there's a lot of detractors about the movie saying, ooh, it's not culturally relevant, everyone kind of forgot about it, why is it taking so long to have a sequel? And of course, James Cameron came and delivered some incredibly awesome action scenes and some really yet intense scenes and some really interesting setups that he's known for. Like, the movie does borrow, like, a lot of his elements, not just from Avatar, but also something like his previous works, like Titanic, Abyss, maybe a little bit of Terminator, maybe a bit of True Lies, but it does use particularly the elements of Titanic, and of course Abyss in this movie, and Aliens. Like, I think it used the amalgamation of what made all these three movies, like, incredibly brilliant to begin with, and just almost blended them together and used all the best elements in the movie and just made it into almost like a chaos soup, this movie that is Way of the Water. Even, again, the cinematography and the visual effects and the overall design of the movie is very intricate and very gorgeous and beautiful to look at. And particularly it has a lot more world building. It's not just pure forest anymore. There's more to Pandora than meets the eye. Like, there's the entire section of sea aliens, of course, in this movie. And of course, the movie has, of course, some other, like, amazing stuff, like the music, even though it's not done by James Horner, who unfortunately passed away from a plane accident in 2015, so they have a new composer who I completely forgot his name now, but he did a really, really great job in this movie. Like, he used a lot from the original movie, particularly in one of the more underrated scores, like from the original battle scene, and used it a lot more prevalently. I think the trumpet solo and the violins, particularly one scene when all was falling down in the final battle scene in the first film, and he used it a lot more prevalently throughout the movie. And the movie has a lot more of an emotional grip in this movie. The stakes feel higher. Like, you legit feel it for these characters. Like, they don't, like, for some criticism, then I feel like there's more dimension to these characters. There's more depth for these characters, and definitely a lot more emotions about these characters, and does have some character development, like in the first film. It just keeps going better and better. So I have sung his praise of James Cameron's Way of Water. Again, the writing, again, for a lot of James Cameron movies, is not exactly the best of the year. But again, it's some good script at the end of the day, but I think there's two massive plot holes, or two things that just did not make sense for me. Like, the Colonel, played by Stephen Lang, said the plan B says, hey, if you're watching this, I'm reincarnated as an alien, so all my memories have been uploaded to a new avatar. Like, okay, like, this is like the most overdrawn, like, plan B the world has ever seen. Like, yes, he did die in the original, and yes, he did see the video recording and he was visibly shaken. I did cringe at his death. Like, I felt like this is like the world's most overly drawn out plan B. Like, okay, if all else fails, before I do that, I need to download all my conscious, all my memories into an alien, then somehow lay low for like the next 13, 12 years, and say, hey Pandora, I'm back, I'm just going to wreck your stuff again. Again, this is a little bit weird. And also what's a little bit weirder is with Keo, voiced by Sigourney Weaver, who turns out, despite having an epileptic shock throughout, sometime halfway through the film, she's almost like a god with fish and the sea world and the plant life around it. Like, she controls like the massive seaweed, she controls the fish to glide all the aliens out of a dangerous situation, and somehow can swim and breathe underwater more better than the rest of her siblings. Like, what are the implications about that again? Like, are epileptic people now have superpowers now? Like, is she now a god to the water tribe now? Like, not a lot of it's now making sense. Like, there's loads of implications that the movie just somewhat brushed over at the moment. Like, do the other water tribes know about this or something? Like, would she be treated like a god or something? Like, I think this should like really be that like one serious focus for like Avatar 3 or something that should really be talked about in the next film. Just because I think it's definitely such a big plot to walk around with, and it doesn't have the best explanation around it. Particularly that she did have an epileptic shock. Then, of course, she did somehow regain like superpowers or something like that. It just stopped making sense for me. And of course, Jake has now a family of 4 children, and what to say, like James Cameron, he's basically hammering the point saying, well, parenting is hard. Like, well, okay. So I feel like the plot points, again, like I said with Kara, voiced by Sigourney Weaver, even though she's in her 70s and she's playing a 14-year-old, and I just can't roll with it, to be honest. The character development and character arcs around these movies, from being bullied from the local kids to being generally accepted from throughout, is again a really interesting arc I can see. But again, I feel like it's starting to come off as a bit too not too well defined. Like, who's. Like, I think you can name, like, for Guardians of the Galaxy, you can name each personality trait, like Rocket, Groot, Star-Lord, Gamora. Like, I don't really know their names really. I don't know what makes them different from other siblings. James Cameron does deliver with action scenes and its visual beauty. Like, if there's one thing you should never bet against James Cameron, is that he does deliver some incredible action scenes and some gorgeous visual effects in this movie. Like, he did not certainly let anyone down with his effects. Like, particularly I've seen this movie in 3D, and the movie is really great. And runtime, even though it's 3 hours and 10 minutes long, it did not feel like 3 hours 10 minutes. It felt like 2.5 hours. Like, the pacing is definitely there, even though the runtime could be like if it's for the last installment. But knowing we have a next installment coming 2 years time, which is a little bit odd, because I would like pace it like 2 hours 40 minutes, then leave like the biggest runtime film for like the last, just as the grand finale, the epic centerpiece, or the epic finale. Which is I think the way of thinking from James Cameron, you're making this movie 3 hours when we do know we're going to get more, at least one more, is a little bit weird. Again, his visuality and how he created a whole new world within the world that we're familiar with, and some brilliant action scenes that take place in the sea, and definitely some strong allegories about whale welfare and animal rights on the sea. And a bit how colonialism is mostly to blame of how a lot of these sacred animals are being mistreated just for human profit. Despite of some very gashing plot holes here and there, but what James Cameron delivered after a 13-year hiatus is some incredible action a world that we already knew just completely flipped over on its head into something that morphed itself into something completely different, and definitely for the better. The action is brilliant, the cinematography and visuals are gorgeous as usual for a James Cameron movie. His political sentiments are definitely there and very strong at best. It never goes out of its way to become overly preachy and become overly woke about it. Like, this is wrong and this is bad, but again, he does probably navigate through that weird turmoil, which is like animal welfare and how animals are sacred to like water tribes and all that, which is some really strong stuff. And also Zoe Dendell and Sam Worthington do make some incredible performances in the movie. I particularly like Sigourney Weaver's performance. I do like the Colonel's performance if you do not think too hard about how weird his plan is to begin with. And also, I've got to mention, there's also Spider, which he's essentially like a human pet for Jake. Like, he kind of just walked in and was like, hello, I'll be your pet. And he just it's just really in the family. So, all in all, I'm feeling a 7 out of 8 out of 10 for Avatar. Like, this is definitely a welcoming back to Avatar, a very decent and very strong effort from James Cameron. But I think what prevented it from being a masterpiece, in my opinion, is just a couple of gashing plot holes and just some very convoluted plot ideas, which I hope gets cleared up in the sequel. But anyways, I enjoyed this movie regardless. So, what do you think of Avatar: Way of the Water? Comment on this video below, like my video, subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram, or Twitter if it's even still going on. And hope you enjoy your film, and bye!